Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. It's always a joy to remind you that the greatest energy of life is that presence within you, that part of you that is more you than your personality self, that God Spirit at the very center of your being. May you be in contact with this energy throughout the day and allow it to guide you. I also want to remind you for our members survey that we'd like to poll our members and see any comments they'd like to make concerning Now Creations. You can go to the website and simply click on Members Survey and just follow the guidance. Also, you would have received an email a couple of days ago with the guidance as well. And then tonight, if you're able to join us, be very happy to have you for What is Life Body from 7 to 8:30. Let's begin. My dear friends, I am very appreciative of the many comments that I have received concerning the development of an Ascension vocabulary, raising our understanding of life from a third-dimensional understanding to a fifth-dimensional overview. Last week's teaching seemed to resonate even more than the previous week's change in vocabulary. In last week's teaching, so many of you appreciated the clear difference between being religious and being spiritual. But even more of you commented on how we need to move beyond the old understanding of the world, the flesh, and the devil, ego, to take the responsibility of now acting fifth-dimensionally from an aligned and empowered creative freedom. I love that phrase, taking the responsibility to live from an aligned and creative freedom, empowered from the very center of our beings. Thus, in today's teaching, we will continue with the next 3 changes of vocabulary and then complete the last 2 changes next week. The topic, therefore, for today's teaching is the Ascension vocabulary, Part 3, focusing on the 6th, 7th, and 8th changes in vocabulary as we go from a third to a fifth-dimensional understanding of life. The 6th change of vocabulary concerns a very interesting third-dimensional term, the term lucky. Lucky. Many people, as they look at their lives, feel that they have been lucky in what life has given them. They feel that they have been lucky to have good parents. They feel that they have been lucky to have a good education and a good job. They feel that they have been lucky to have a good family and a good standard of living. They simply feel lucky because things seem to have worked out well for them. And unfortunately for others, it has not been quite so lucky that they are lucky themselves. Such lucky individuals simply look at things, at the way things have turned out, and never bother to ask the question, why was I so lucky? Why was I so fortunate and others were not? This question becomes even more provocative when the seemingly lucky people have a turn of not being quite so lucky. And all of a sudden, this misfortune, this good luck, is now changed to bad luck. So now the question arises, why am I so unlucky in situations in life? So let me now suggest a much better and much more realistic term than the third-dimensional term lucky. The fifth-dimensional term in place of lucky is guided. All of life is guided. All of life is guided. The confused third-dimensional person with a limited personality view might rightly ask, well, guided by whom? Guided by what? This is again where we must develop a deeper understanding of life. The personality self, whether one considers himself lucky or unlucky, is not the guide. The personality self is guided by the soul. It is the soul that experiences life through the personality self. And just as the soul is the experiencer of God, your personality self is the experiencer of the soul. Need to hear this again. Just as your soul is the experiencer of God, your personality self is the experiencer of the soul. Now, this becomes the tricky part that needs to be understood. While the personality self can somewhat understand that this is what they are experiencing as a lucky life, what becomes extremely interesting, however, would be, why would the soul seemingly guide the personality self to have an unlucky, unfortunate experience? You kind of know when you feel lucky, but why on earth would the soul ever guide me, such a wonderful personality, to be unlucky or misfortunate? We have addressed this point many times in the past, so we'll address it one more time, hopefully once and for all. While the personality self sees life as lucky or unlucky, while the personality self sees life as good or bad, the soul sees life simply as the gathering of experiences. To the soul, lower third dimensional experiences that one would term unlucky, to the soul, such seemingly unlucky experiences are just as valuable as the so-called lucky experiences. Both experiences, seemingly both the lucky and the unlucky ones, are experiences of the soul's energy being able to live in the dualistic system of the earth life. Each is guided, both the unlucky and the lucky ones, from the fifth dimension. They are simply experiences, neither good nor bad, right or wrong, lucky or unlucky. They are simply experiences of the soul. You have to come to understand this. Now, a few comments are in order. First, for a person who is on a spiritual path, as you are, it is important to know that we have ended the game of lucky versus unlucky experiences. We have ended the game of separation. We have been guided to end the game of separation. You have to have a deeper understanding of this. Secondly, in place of the karmic game of separation, which by and large has caused so many seemingly unlucky situations in life, we now have initiated for ourselves on a spiritual path the fifth dimensional energy of our direct connection with our source. We are now living in the fifth dimensional energy of an aligned and empowered creative freedom. I love that phrase. We now have ended that game of lucky versus unlucky. We are now in the aligned, empowered, responsible life of creative freedom. Is this not true for you? You're done with lucky, unlucky, good, bad. You've ascended into the fifth dimension of an empowered and creative freedom. Third, in so living, literally standing in a sense on the shoulders of the personality selves who have come before us in the past, we are now joyfully becoming the words that Neil Donald Walsh so well spoke many, many years ago when he said, we are becoming the grandest versions of the greatest vision of who we are. We, not in the third dimension anymore, lucky versus unlucky. We in the fifth dimension are becoming the grandest versions of the greatest vision of who we are. Truly, we are rising to the fullness of what we are capable. Now you might say to yourself, well, what is that grandest version of the greatest vision of who we are? You know it. We are the love of God in human form. It's the grandest version, the love of God, of the greatest vision in human form of our soul spirit manifesting beautifully. We have been guided. We have been guided to experience this beautiful love within our souls, who in turn are simply expressing the love from our source. Dare I say it? Are we not lucky to have been so guided? We are now ready for the seventh vocabulary change. This old third dimensional word has many ways of expressing itself. Two of the more popular ones are, first of all, the athletic term, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. You've heard it many times. How people love to be victorious, whether it's in a classroom spelling bee or with a national championship. It's thrilling to be the victor, even though others might be feeling the agony of defeat. A second saying is a very glib saying that many people use. Well, you win some, you lose some, just the way it is. Well, of course, it's nice to be the winner, while the loser begins to question maybe their worth and often becomes resentful and non-cooperative with the winners. Two examples of vicarious, indirect winning and losing are the following. The first involved the feelings of a fan whose team lost. They were experiencing the agony of defeat. Yet, what was even worse was that the fan himself was suffering the agony of defeat. He just could not get over the feeling of his team losing. It lasted for several days. He was in agony over his team being defeated. Vicariously, yet very real. The second one you know quite well. Many of you as fans, or should I say, fans that want to be fans, in a sense, but are not quite ready to really look at what's going on. So, for example, when maybe your favorite team or your favorite little league baseball player comes up to the plate, the fans can't stand to watch. They cover their eyes, cover their ears. And if possible, hold on to someone, hoping. They're in agony even before the play has begun. We've all had situations like that. All of these experiences, I suggest, are the result of the third dimensional word, competition. And we understand there is an energy within us that wants to win, to compete. So we better take a better look at this word. And of course, we back up this theme of competition, which is so prevalent in the world today, even to the point of, well, it's us versus them, whoever the them might be in the third dimensional teaching, such as, well, life is never meant to be easy, or it's good to get knocked down every once in a while. Good for you. It's just kind of good. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way. And yes, all of these phrases often describe life situations that we competitively use in the third dimension. But what about you? What about you who are now living in the fifth dimension, who are no longer interested in winning and losing? Is there a better word than competition? Let's probe a few teachings in this regard. The first teaching is from Stephen Covey's wonderful book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Many of you have read the book. It is his fourth habit. Covey, in the fourth habit, does away with the old win-lose notion of competition and prescribes a phrase that has stood the test of time for 35 years. Instead of the competitive win-lose, he addresses the words win-win. That is to say, in any situation, it's advantage to work for win-win outcomes, outcomes that are of mutual benefit. This is what highly effective people do. He then supports habit 4, win-win, with habits 5 and 6. Habit 5 focuses on listening to others. Habit 6 is synergy, working together as a team, which is one of my favorite acronyms, team. Together, each achieves more. This is what highly effective people do. They work together. Jim Self gives us another viewpoint that also moves beyond simply competition. As we engage in life, Jim Self teaches us that it's 100% about yourself and 100% about others. This is a terrifically balanced viewpoint that has to be 100% about yourself, and in so living, to be 100% about others. So important to understand this. And of course, Jesus himself gives us that great teaching that the greatest among you is the one who serves the needs of others. Well, I think that you're beginning to grasp the fifth dimensional word that will move us beyond simply competition. The fifth dimensional word is service. But let's be clear. Service does not mean being a doormat, nor does it mean allowing others to take advantage of you. This becomes clear in 2 ways. The first one, very interesting. The first one is a business model wherein many companies now understand that their bottom line is service, not money. service, not money. The clear teaching is that if service is good, the money will follow.
Oh.
This is exactly what I have found in my own personal and professional life. And in the process, might I say, everyone is happier. Everyone is happier when your better service raises the quality of what you do for another. They're very happy to give you their business. The second source is from A Course in Miracles. Where else? The teaching is absolutely clear that we enter heaven 2 by 2, which means that we are one with each other in service to each other. We enter into the oneness, into the higher consciousness 2 by 2. As you can plainly see, this notion of service leads to this larger energy of oneness. This is the fifth dimensional way for those of us who are on our spiritual path. And, oh, by the way, did I mention that it makes sense and it feels so much better than competition, and that it works every time? We're now ready for the eighth change in vocabulary. It concerns a phrase that many of us use in the third dimension, something that we just kind of say and kind of feel that, well, that's just the way it is and you can't do anything about it. Not so fast, I would say. Not so fast. The traditional third dimensional phrase is, I can't do what I used to do. I can't do what I used to do. Usually these words pertain to many of the physical things that we did in the past. You're aware of many of those things, such as working 2 or 3 jobs just to make a living, or raising 2 or 3 kids, or sometimes doing both. You wonder how you did it. There were just those times where you just did what you did because you had to get by, often going without sleep and doing things in a sense that tested you again and again. You do wonder how you did such things in the past, just as I wonder how every day I would travel with now creations and then get up the next morning, teach college class, and repeat the cycle again and again and again. Well, now you realize that you are not physically able to do what you once did. But as a result, might I suggest, you are not lesser but different. So let me say it again. As a result, you are not lesser but different. Let me explain. In the past, much of the doing what we did was what we had to do. And we did so without complaining, at least most of the time. While we no longer do what we used to do, now we are doing what we didn't used to do. Let me say it again. While we no longer are doing what we used to do, now we are doing what we didn't used to do. And specifically concerning our spirituality, we are not only doing what we didn't used to do, but we are really doing now what we want to do. This is enormous concerning our spirituality. We are doing things we didn't used to do, like meditating and practicing every day. And these are the things we most want to do. We simply have changed our perspective in life. We are not lesser, but now different. Now we are much more inclined to, well, do our daily spiritual practices. Now we are much more inclined to join with spiritual friends, as we're doing right here this morning. Now we kind of like the quiet. We like to be alone in the silence that speaks to us. Where in the past, we had to have the radio or the TV on. We just didn't know how to deal with quiet. Now, how many of us have said on numerous occasions, I've heard many of you say, you're the happiest you've ever been. You are kinder, nicer, and more understanding that you've ever been. Do you not see that this has simply become another way of looking at life? You did what you had to at the time when you had to. But now the time has changed. And thus, we do not lament that we don't do the things we used to do, because now we are doing the things that we didn't used to do, and enjoying it ever so much more. Okay, a simple question is helpful here. How many of you would go back to what you used to do? That's a good question. How many of you would go back to those times of burning the cats? That's a very, very, very interesting notion. Now be honest. Are you not now more content with your life because of the spiritual path you have taken, and not so much worried about what you can't do physically, because you are now doing more things spiritually? Are you not truly doing what you know is exactly what you should be doing now at this time in your life? Let's even be a little more honest. Would you not say that the people around you are happier because of what you are now doing? Well, come on. Would you not say that the people around you are much happier because of what you are now doing? All your life, you have done what was appropriate for the time. All your life, you've always done what was appropriate for your spiritual journey at the time. Please do not underestimate your past. But now is the time for you to move beyond, to move forward in what you didn't used to do. And in doing so, becoming a blessing for all of us. I am so happy that I can't do what I used to do, because I am now doing what I didn't used to do. Words of wisdom as we move into the fifth dimension of our lives. In conclusion, we have made 3 more changes in our vocabulary: from lucky to guided, from competitive to service, and from I can't do what I used to now I am doing what I didn't used to do. Whew! Such liberating changes. Please review today's teaching. And as you might expect, the last 2 vocabulary changes in next week's teaching will be the 2 big ones. In the meantime, we are on a spiritual journey together. So let's continue. Let's continue to win-win with each other in service to all others, which is what we most want to do. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Are you not beginning to see? Are you not beginning to see that we are making not simply changes in vocabulary, but rather these changes in vocabulary are indicative of a change in your life? Oh, I was really lucky. Things just turned out better than I thought they would. I'm so fortunate to have the parents that I did. I almost feel guilty. I feel so lucky, and so many other people seem to be unlucky. Quite frankly, there are many people who will say, I was so lucky, who are still lost in their seemingly good luck. You know some, they're still lost. Seemingly lucky, but very third dimension. For reasons known only to your soul has given you a very beautiful experience of life. Now is the time for your advancement from the personality self, ending the game of separation, third dimension, to the fifth dimension of being an aware soul spirit, creating the good, the beautiful, and the holy. You've been guided. It's not that your personality self is a robot. You are free to accept or decline the guidance, that you are guided by your soul. Everyone is. You can't bear to watch. I can't bear to watch. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? It's very easy to criticize and say that competition has gotten out of hand. That's easy to criticize that. It isn't quite so easy when you have to deal with your children and grandchildren and perhaps great grandchildren who are still in such competitive situations. May I suggest that one of your great services to your family members and to all of your friends is to be able to help them move through the competitive atmospheres of life, giving them encouragement when they need it, comfort when seemingly there's been a failure, and just being there unshakably in their lives. There was a time when you did not have that unshakable presence, and you were just as shook by the competition. Not anymore. Not anymore. You now have the unshakable foundation of being the love of God in human form, expressing itself in service. I think I said that makes sense and it feels right and it works all the time. You will know you will know what that service means for you in relationship to others. We'll know that. Well, I used to be able to do that. I used to be able to unscrew the lid on the jar. I used to be able to do that easily and pick up things. Yeah. Go 10, 12 hours a day. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no problem. I used to do a lot of things that were demanded of me appropriately when I had to do them. Would you take a moment just to look graciously at what you have accomplished in your past? You did exactly what needed to be done at the time of life in which you were engaged. You did extremely well. Just as you're guided in the present, you were guided in the past. So now you're being guided to do the things that you always did not used to do or seldom did. The time is different. So it's important for us not to lament where we've been in the past, not to lament that, but now to move forward on the spiritual path in what you're capable of doing presently. No need to lament where you've been, but please, please move forward in your spiritual awareness. Again, you see, it's not simply a different vocabulary. It's a different way of understanding life. And it's much more than simply the maturity of aging. It is much more the maturity of the spirit. There's a lot of older people who are still lost, having their own experience. You're different now. Move forward. Move forward. It's been interesting. A lot of people have changed the way they talk. A lot of people are much more understanding. Forgiveness, sin, sinner, they don't make sense anymore. It's not in the vocabulary. More changes to come. But most of all, may they be a reflection of the growth that is within you. And may you enjoy every bit of it. Every bit of it. So with that, let me invite you back to your breath. Nice, easy breathing. A beautiful day ahead of us. In service. Guided. Oh boy. And happy to do what you're able to do. And in that spirit, let me invite you to breathe your eyes open. Kind of a nice smile on your face. Why not? Why not? I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.
Namaste, everyone.